it's a deliberately planned false flag or whether it is accidental or a blowback or an unintended consequence, it's always used to expand the state.
Welcome back to another edition of the Prepper Recon Podcast. Our mission is to bring you great interviews with preppers from around the world so you can be better informed and better prepared for everything from a hurricane to the end of the world as we know it.
I've personally been buying gold and silver from JM Bullion for over 2 years. They offer the best prices over spot that I can find, and I've never had a problem with an order. If you're looking to trade in some of your fiat paper for real money, check out jmbullion.com today.
Hello, Kim Jong speaking.
Kim, is Vlad Putin. I have calling for RSVP about birthday party for you. I don't know what to bring it. I having some Soviet-era warhead. Little rusty, but could be cleaned.
No, I have already. I want Mali-compatible individual first aid kit from the prepperrecon.com. It has everything for traumatic injury. Tourniquet, IBD, quick clot, suture kit, EMT shears, and chest seal. And so easy for buy. Go to prepperrecon.com and click Store tab at the top of the home page. $89 includes shipping.
Okay, I buy for you. They have many tactical color. Do you preferring coyote, OD green, ACU, or black?
How about you surprise me?
Okay, I make surprise. But don't surprising me with those kimchi rolls again. Last time I eat, I had to leave in G20 early. And other thing, if Rodman wears miniskirt to party, I leaving.
Today's guests are Edward and Louise DeLaney. They're distributors for Young Living essential oils. Edward, Louise, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mark, so much.
Hi, thank you.
Now, when did you guys first wake up to the need to prepare?
Mark, I was awakened by the grace in late August of 2011. And it wasn't anything in particular like a Sentinel event or anything like that. It was more about getting out there and reading some dystopian fiction. And it started with James Wesley Rawls series. And that came to me from a buddy who lives in the American Readout currently. And that's how I got started with James Rawls and his books.
And you guys are distributors for Young Living essential oils. Can you tell us just real quickly, what are essential oils?
Sure. Essential oils are the aromatic, volatile liquid found within many shrubs, plants, trees, bushes. They're found in the leaves, the stems, the roots, the bark of trees. It's basically the lifeblood of the plant. The same thing that our blood does for our bodies, the essential oil does for a plant. So it carries nutrients and oxygen, and it also helps with cell regeneration. If you were to cut a plant, you would start to see some liquid form where you had just punctured the plant or broken a leaf or whatever. That's the essential oil coming to the surface, trying to heal that plant there. They have amazing therapeutic properties that are beneficial to our bodies as well.
And I think recently, especially in the past month or so, since we've had this Disney virus come out and measles come back around, and I think there's been this huge debate over vaccines. And I think traditionally people have always sort of understood that there was sort of a cost-benefit trade-off for vaccines, but in recent years, the Marisol, a mercury derivative, has been added as a preservative to vaccines. And I'm not a toxicologist, but I've always been told that any amount of mercury is going to be poisonous to your system. Do you think revelations like this are pushing people to take back control of their own health care?
I do. I think that people are waking up to what a toxic world we live in. Everything from the laundry detergent we use to the skincare products that we use, things that we inject into our bodies, medication. We're such an over-medicated culture in the United States. The vast majority of pharmaceuticals produced in the world are used here in the United States, including in our food supply, which is why we have things like superbugs that don't want to react to or be dealt with by antibiotics. And we have all kinds of problems. So I think that people are waking up. I know that working with moms, I was a labor doula and a childbirth educator for 11 years. And working with expectant families, I watched a lot of young women wake up to, what am I putting on my body? What am I putting on my baby? What am I feeding my children? What are we doing here? And I do think that there is a huge amount of information out there that people are looking for alternatives. They don't want to live in a toxic world, and yet we do. So the little steps that we can take to detoxify our homes is huge, and it helps us to feel empowered and not just subjected to what society is dealing us, whatever hand they're dealing us at the time.
Now, essential oils are kind of a rage right now, and I think that we've sort of figured out partially why that is. But now, are they something new, or is this something that's been around as sort of a traditional form of medicine for a while?
Yeah, if you are on any kind of social media, you see that it is a main topic of conversation, essential oils and their use and whatnot. The truth is that essential oils have been around for thousands and thousands of years. Humanity has used essential oils for their therapeutic benefits dating back to the ancient Egyptians. We have hieroglyphics that talk about oil recipes on Egyptian temples. There are over 200 references to essential oils in the Bible, including in Proverbs chapter 21, verse 20 says, it states that the precious treasures and oils remain in the house of the wise. In ancient Rome, they used essential oils in their bathhouses and in the political buildings, and in their temples they would diffuse oils. And of course, probably the most famous ancient example is the Magi bringing frankincense and myrrh to the Christ child. They're not a new concept at all. They've been around forever. They have been the process of distillation has been refined, but they've been around for a very, very, very long time. They're nature's remedy for us.
Back to that topic of thimerosal that we were talking about earlier. The FDA approved this drug additive, which has been linked to autism. Do you think that produces a lack of trust also in the government side when it comes to our overall well-being?
Well, in my particular circle, I don't know a single person that trusts the FDA. So things that the FDA necessarily approves or disapproves of, there's so much lobbying and money being exchanged. It's hard to, I think there is a lot of distrust for that. I think there are a lot of people who blindly trust because they just don't know, and ignorance is bliss in their case. But I think that there are a lot of people who are growing in their concern for what is being just blanketly approved by the government. There are so many things out there that are approved by the FDA that don't go through safety trials. They get pushed through fast tracks. And when people really start to study it and look at it, it's quite concerning and alarming.
And then there's a lot of folks that seem to think that there are some actual benefits of having raw milk. And the FDA, of course, they won't let us have that. I guess it's much more poisonous to drink raw milk than to ingest mercury.
Right.
Mark, if I can interject here, when I think of the FDA, I think a lot of the hesitation with the people wanting to go with pharmaceutical products is that they're just not always honest, and it's really hard to get down to the truth. And at the end of the day, if someone can't pronounce something in the ingredients on a bottle or whatever it is that they're taking, and they want to figure out what that is, it's not really easy for them to go out and find out what that is, because there's some scientific name for the ingredient. And so I think a lot of people are trying to really get back to being responsible for themselves. And not so much that, the FDA is bad. I believe it does good because there are obviously good people in the FDA. But it's really hard for people to obtain information through such a large agency that regulates so many things. People want to be able to, like you said, feel empowered by being able to read a simple ingredient as to what they're absorbing or ingesting or inhaling or whatever it is.
And then we're also sort of in this, there's a pill for that type of a world where, rather than, perhaps trying to address diabetes with diet and exercise first, people just go straight to the pill and often just kind of maintain the lifestyle that they had that could have perhaps led to the diabetes. And, and I'm sure that there's some people that, diet and exercise just won't work for, and they have to have medication. But I wonder if I hear a lot of stories of people that have went the diet and exercise route and gotten their diabetes under control without any medication. And I think another great example, or probably a horrific example, maybe we should say, are the troops that come back home that are just really over-medicated chemically for what's essentially a spiritual problem. They've been through an experience that's absolutely not normal by any usage of the word. And, the things they've saw and everything have affected them spiritually, and it's a spiritual condition, and they need spiritual healing through pastors and counseling and prayer, and perhaps getting in the Bible and seeking answers there. And instead, we have the official line of the DOD for Christianity is that you're not allowed to proselytize. So basically, if you're a Christian in the military, it's don't ask, don't tell. So, the one thing that maybe could help them is basically shunned by the DOD. And so now what we have is something like 22 vets a day that are deciding to take their own lives because the pills aren't doing it.
Right. And I think you really hit the foundation of the issue, of the spiritual issue of experiencing a lot of the things that are not normal. And if we look at some of these soldiers that we send over there, they're relatively young, early 20s. And then the guys with more longevity, into their late 20s, early 30s. But the quick to go to a pill is a cultural thing that I've seen over the course of my years on this planet, is that we want quick fixes. And a lot of the times going through the hard work is not something we want to compromise on. We'd rather just have a pill and address the symptoms. The problem with the symptoms are, as you just addressed, is that we keep over-medicating because every time a symptom presents, we have a pill for that, and we never get to the underlying problem. So I think you're pretty right on with that. I don't know how to turn the Titanic around like a bass tracker, but I'm willing to give it a shot as long as we have the support and people like yourself out there educating us and encouraging us every day to do that very thing.
Great analogy with the bass tracker and the Titanic. Now, does it matter what brand of essential oils you use?
Well, I think so. Yes, we have fine cheeses, and then there's Velveeta, which is not really cheese. It's a cheese food product. So I want to put that in your body. I'm not sure. We have fine wines from the finest vineyards, and then there's 2 buck chucks from Trader Joe's. We know that there is a difference in quality for a lot of products, whether it's olive oil or it's cheese or wine or whatever it is. The same is true with essential oils. You can get essential oils from a lot of different places, but they aren't created equal. And when we finally decided to take the plunge into essential oils, I had actually been using them in my birth work for a number of years, but the oils that I used were a very small amount, and they stayed in my birth bag between births, and so I didn't really use them a whole lot. And the reason why was because I was overwhelmed by how much information is out there about them, and I didn't even know where to get started. So when we finally said, yes, this is something that we want to do, we want to make it part of our emergency preparedness plan. We want to detoxify our home. We want to do all of these things. I researched a lot of different companies, and I ended up going with Young Living because there were a number of reasons. One is that there's a very long-standing history that Young Living has. They've been around for 20 plus years. They really are the leader in the essential oil market. They have the largest selection of products. But more than that, they own their own farms, and they're truly an agricultural company. They know when to harvest plants. And I don't mean just, is the plant mature yet? I'm talking about the time of day can actually affect the level of essential oils and the constituents, the therapeutic properties that are found in that essential oil. They know down to the time of day, they know the heat, they know at which to distill something, they know how long to distill an oil. They really take pride in their quality product that they put out there. They're not afraid to go out of stock, which is a little bit of a cumbersome problem for members sometimes, because we really love our oils, and when they go out of stock, that's a problem. But they won't put something that's subpar out on the market, and I really appreciate that about them. They have what's called their seed to seal commitment, and from the time a plant is a seed, they work with scientists to make sure that it is the right species of plant. They work on their farms and with their partner farms all over the world to cultivate. Many of the distilleries are right there at the farms. They test every single batch of essential oil, and then they seal it, and they put their mark of quality on it and say, we have overseen this process from the very beginning to the time that it gets into your hands, and we are guaranteeing that this is what we say it is. It's not diluted. It's not made with solvents. It's not synthetic in any way. It is honest to goodness essential oil in there. And when we were looking at, yes, we were doing the preparedness, that was a huge factor in our getting into essential oils. But we also have a daughter who is not yet 10. And a couple years ago, we started seeing some changes in her body that we were not comfortable with. And I started doing some research, and I wanted to get toxins out of my home because I know that can cause early puberty. And so because I'm using these oils on our family, I wanted to make sure that we had the highest quality oils out there. So I know that with Young Living, I get what they say I'm getting, that they've been tested not 1 in 10 batches. Every single batch is tested, not just by them in-house, but by third parties as well. And so I think that if you're going to use these as more than just a room air freshener, you really want to make sure that you have the highest quality. And I believe that Young Living offers that.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Katie Armor offers affordable body armor, including level 3 trauma plates made of AR-500 steel. They can endure multiple rounds from pistols and rifles up to 7.62 NATO. Their plates are available with Rhino Linings coatings to reduce SPA. Go to katiearmor.com, that's CATI armor.com today. Prepping for the apocalypse can be expensive, but it doesn't have to be. The new book, Dirt Cheap Valuable Prepping, by Cal Wilson, focuses on inexpensive ways to make the most out of your survival budget. Don't create your own financial crisis long before the collapse. Get your copy of Dirt Cheap Valuable Prepping for Kindle or in paperback at Amazon.com. Now, what are some of the things that you can use the oils for?
You said earlier there's a pill for that. Well, we like to say there's an oil for that. We have used... We've used oils in our own house for headaches, seasonal sniffles, burns. Just a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I burned my hand on a hot skillet. I had third or second degree burns over most of my right palm and all my fingers. And we used oils on that. The doctor said that it would be 3 to 4 weeks for it to heal. And in 1 week, you couldn't even see where the burns were anymore. So we've used it on burns. We've used it on fungus. My daughter had some ringworm on her leg a couple years ago. We used a couple of oils on that. Menstrual cramps to stop a bleeding cut, emotional uplift. We use it for immunity boost, back discomfort. We put it in our cleaning products. So we make our own laundry detergent and we make our own body wash, and we use essential oils in those. We use it for flea and tick prevention on our dog. We use it as a chemical-free bug spray when we're out camping and out in the summer months. We use it for relaxation and for help with normal sleep patterns. Really, you can use oils for pretty much anything.
Now, what do you use for the bug spray?
We use a blend called Purification, and Purification is actually a blend of several different oils. It has in it citronella, rosemary, lemongrass, tea tree oil, lavender, and myrtle oil. And we put some drops of that in a bottle with a 50-50 mixture of witch hazel and water. And then shake it and spray it, and it works really well. It keeps bugs away. Also, bugs don't like peppermint essential oil, so that's a really good one to keep flies and stuff away. If you're out picnicking, put a drop of peppermint on your plate. If you're outside, that's another good one.
What did you put on your burn?
I used a combination of lavender, frankincense, myrrh, and an oil called copaiba. Frankincense and copaiba are highly anti-inflammatory. Frankincense and lavender are very, very good and healing for the skin. And myrrh kind of boosts everything that is happening there. It's also very healing for the skin as well.
And you talked about natural antibiotics and natural antifungals, and we were talking before the show about tea tree oil, and it's great for both of those things, right?
Yes, it absolutely is. Tea tree oil has a great, it's a powerful antibiotic and antifungal. It's also antiviral, antiparasitic, and it also has anti-inflammatory action as well. You can use it for lots of different things, including fungal infections, sinus or lung infections, tooth or gum disease, hypertension, skin conditions. And really, as I'm mentioning all these things, I'm getting this information out of a book called Essential Oils Pocket Reference, the 6th edition by Life Science Publishers. So I'm reading these things, and I also just want to say that these statements haven't been approved by the FDA. And so,
oh my goodness! Then throw them out, because they know what's going on. The mercury is much better for you than raw milk.
Right, exactly. And so I am in no way trying to treat, diagnose, or otherwise prevent an illness or disease. That is my legal disclaimer.
Sure.
That I get that in.
For the lawyers.
Right, exactly.
Now, obviously, the burns, if you get a little cut or you get a little rash that looked like it might be on your foot, that looks like it might be athlete's foot or something like that, we'd want to put the tea tree oil on there topically. And the thing you were talking about for your burns, that was something that would go on there topically. Obviously, the bug spray is something that you're spraying on topically. But now, you were talking about promoting sleep and some other things. And using infusers for that. Can you explain how an infuser works, and maybe what are some of the other ways that you would use the essential oils besides topically?
Sure. There's 3 basic ways you can use oils, and they are to inhale or aromatically use them, topically, and then the last way, which I use in what's the word I'm looking for? I don't use it a whole lot, is what I'm saying. I use it sparingly. That's the word, is to ingest the oils. But to inhale or to use them aromatically, you can use a diffuser. You can put it onto they have diffuser jewelry that you can use. I actually use a diffuser that Young Living makes, and it is when you pour some water in there and you put the oils in with the water, and it atomizes the water and the oil to disperse it throughout the air in the room. And those diffusers cover anywhere between 200 and 300 square feet in a room. So when I talk about promoting sleep, I might diffuse lavender and cedarwood at night next to my bed. That's a really good way to do it. You can also put a drop or two on your hands and then rub your hands together and cup it over your nose. That's another way you can get it aromatically. And like I said, the diffuser jewelry, so you can just kind of get a whiff of it throughout the course of the day. That's another way. There are other ways you can use it aromatically as well. I know that you can put a few drops into some sea salt or Epsom salt and put that into a bowl of very, very hot water and cover the bowl and with your head, like put your head over the bowl and then put a towel over your head to make a little steam bath there for you. That's another way to use it aromatically. When we breathe in the oils, when we get a whiff of them, it only takes 22 seconds for it to reach our brain and the limbic system of our brain, which is the emotional center. So if we think about, you smell your grandmother's oatmeal raisin cookies, it automatically takes you back to that moment in time when you were making them in her kitchen and those warm, fuzzy feelings. Or if you get a whiff of gasoline, it might take you back to the days of working with your dad in the garage or whatever. Smells are so powerful in getting to our emotional centers in our brain. And aromatherapy or essential oils can help do that as well. Topically, we talked about that. You could use it in a spray, like I said, with the bug spray. But really, most of the oils, you'll want to use what's called a carrier oil when you're using them. And a carrier oil is really any fatty oil. I use sweet almond oil, or Young Living has a blend called V6, which is a carrier oil. I've used coconut oil, olive oil. This is really just to help dilute the oil over a larger surface area, but also to dilute it in the event that it's what's called a hot oil. So you can imagine that cinnamon bark, if you have a piece of cinnamon gum in your mouth, it's kind of spicy in your mouth. Well, if you put cinnamon essential oil on your body, it's going to feel spicy on your body or hot on your body. And that can be very uncomfortable if you're not careful. So you would want to dilute oils over the body that way topically. And then you can ingest the oils. Not every oil can be ingested because you wouldn't ingest some plants. And I also, because of the quality commitment that Young Living has to their products, they are the only oils that I feel comfortable myself ingesting if I get to that point. But I'm always going to start with aromatic or topical first. And ingesting oils should be done with care, and it should be done with common sense, and it should be done sparingly.
And then also we were talking before the show about lavender. Can you tell us about that real quickly?
Yeah, lavender is what we call the Swiss Army knife of essential oils. It has over 300 uses for it. It is just amazing. It is everything from antibacterial to relaxing. It has it's anti-tumoral. It has anticonvulsant properties, vasodilating properties, anti-inflammatory. Like I said, it can help to reduce blood fat and cholesterol in somebody. It's great for the skin. It's very healing for the skin. People have used it for respiratory infections. They've used it for high blood pressure, for menstrual problems or PMS, for skin conditions. Really, it is the Swiss Army knife. If you could have one oil in your box, in your preps, it would be lavender. If you just had to pick one, I would pick lavender because it does so many different things.
That's fantastic. Now, another thing that might be pushing people towards alternative, or maybe we should say traditional medicine, I think is a lack of access now. Our insurance premiums tripled thanks to the Affordable Care law. And once we move, our current plan that's 300% of what our old plan was won't even be available to us. So we'll be looking at something probably closer to a 400% increase at that time for what's going to be available in the new area where we're moving. Do you think that lack of access is another contributor to people wanting to get a hold of their own health care?
Well, sure. Why would you want to go and spend hundreds of dollars at urgent care or the ER or even your doctor's office out of pocket when you can invest in essential oils to deal with a lot of issues yourself? Now, I will say this, essential oils are not a complete replacement for medications or good medical care because we certainly do have need for medical care at times. But if you can take some of those things, that your child has a fever, there's an upset tummy, there's just any kind of everyday stuff that you have going on, you can certainly save a lot of money and have hands-on access. It's very empowering to have the ability to treat yourself this way. Don't you agree?
Yeah, Mark, I would agree. Being in the emergency medicine side of things, I see the cost of life-saving medications and very essential medications, whether it's insulin or high blood pressure medicine or whatever it is. There's a lot of medicines out there that cost quite a bit, and if you're a senior or you're self-employed, those medications cost a lot of money, and it takes up a lot of your budget. So I think this just gives you another option when you don't have access, primarily financial, or you don't even have a healthcare provider, period, that essential oils would be a great alternative and a step in the right direction to give you something.
And I know, too, that one of the big things that a lot of people in the preparedness community talk about is getting yourself healthy. So that you're not reliant on medications, so that you are able to have the stamina and the longevity to go in a grid down situation, or even if it's a short-term situation. And essential oils can certainly help people get into a healthier status and a healthy lifestyle.
Oh, I think that's so important because so many people died this winter from shoveling snow because, they'd sat around on the couch all year and, and probably hadn't had a snowstorm for a couple of years. And then they got out and started trying to shovel 6 feet of snow, and their ticker just wasn't having it, and they keeled over. So that's so important. And I think that's the number one prep is yourself. And that's keeping yourself healthy. The things that you do need to do at the doctor, like, regular maintenance for your teeth, getting them cleaned and getting the cavities filled and all of that kind of thing, taking care of that, staying up on the maintenance, trying to eat right, trying to get some exercise, doing anything you can do with essential oils and things like that, and especially anything that could possibly wean you off of your addiction to prescription drugs, and this is certainly something you want to develop a plan, legal for the lawyers out there. This is something you want to develop with your doctor and develop a plan with him to step yourself off of a lot of that toxic junk that you have to take, and the stuff that you have to take, and there's no other way around it. I'm definitely not telling people to wholesale quit taking all of their pharmaceutical drugs, but the things that maybe you could do without, and anything you can do to limit your dependency on those is going to, if we do have a grid down type of situation, you're going to be in a much better situation. But like you said, just for general health purposes, just the snowstorm, we lost so many people to heart attacks. And the same thing happens down here in my area when we have a hurricane, because people get out there with the chainsaw that they haven't had out in 6 months, in 6 years, and they start cutting up trees, and their ticker it can't sustain that level of activity because they haven't been doing anything like that, and they have heart attacks, and then also they get tired, and people lay those chainsaws into their legs because they don't have the stamina to keep going after 30 or 45 minutes. And another thing is when you do have to do that stuff, even if you think you're in shape, take a lot of breaks, stay hydrated, and think about that, because that's a lot more people died of heart attacks this year and lung cancer from smoking than have ever died from a zombie apocalypse.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. And Mark, I, as a avid listener of your show and a frequent visitor of your website, I hear you reiterate that very often, and that is people love the first B of the bullets, beans, and Band-Aids, and that's really attractive. But as I've heard you educate people over the course of time, is that they really need to get one of those aspects in shape, and that is if they're not spiritually right, they got to get at least physically right for starters. And I think that I agree with you that will carry them a long way.
Yeah, and another part of being personally prepared is spiritual preparedness, because Jesus said, "What does it profit you to gain the whole world and yet lose your own soul?" And the prepper version of that is, what good does it do you to be able to survive this zombie apocalypse with an underground bunker and ammo can full of gold and all the guns and beans and Band-Aids and bullets in the world, because 10 out of 10 people still die. So you're still going to have that day that you're going to have to meet God face to face, and he's going to want to know whether or not you accepted the blood of his son to pay for your sins. And your entire eternity is going to be based on the answer that you give him at that time. And I think that it's worth taking a little time to figure out what you believe and making sure that you've got that answer right.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Now, if someone's ready to get started with essential oils, what do you recommend they start with? And maybe give us a couple of good things for the house. And you said lavender's a thing to put in your bug out bag, but maybe give us one or two other things that might want to go in a medical kit or bug out bag.
Yeah, Young Living has made it really easy to get started with them, and they have what they call a premium starter kit, which actually gives you 11 oils in that kit that have hundreds of collective uses. The things that's so great about these essential oils is that they come in small bottles, so they don't take up a lot of space, and they're easy to transport, and they will last you for a very long time. Lavender for sure. There's a blend called Thieves, which is great to help boost your immunity. If you if I'm sick, if we're sick in the family, I'm diffusing Thieves. I am applying Thieves to the bottom of the feet. I'm doing all kinds of stuff with that. I would say tea tree oil. You can get a premium starter kit by going to my website, and I can help set you up with that. That would be a great way to get started, because it gives you 11 of the most common oils. Like I said, it gives you a discount so that you can purchase more and build up your own supply as you go throughout. And my website is it okay if I give it?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to have links to it in the show notes, but the show also gets syndicated to Stitcher and YouTube and iTunes, and we're also now syndicated to Voices of Liberty, which is Ron Paul's alternative media network. So those folks won't actually see the post page. So tell them your website and kind of spell it out for them too, in case they have to find a pen and write that down.
Sure. So my website is www.livingalifeoflove.com. So it's living a life of love, YLEO.com. And it's all mushed together, one word, spelled like it sounds, LIVINGALIFEOFLOVEYLEO.com. I have lots of information on there on Young Living, on their products. There's a link to be able to connect with me. You can also find me on Facebook at www.facebook.com/fragrant offerings. And that's my business page on there. I'm very much about educating and supporting people in their oily journey. So when someone becomes a member under me, they get my support as they learn about essential oils, how to use them, what oils might be best for their particular issues. I want to make sure people are really learning about their oils, that they don't just buy it and put it in a box or in a drawer or in a bag somewhere, but that they're able to use them. Because if you don't educate yourself on how to use them now, in a situation where you do have to bug out, that's great that you have essential oils in there, but how are you going to use them? You need to be able to educate yourself beforehand. So that's a huge part of what I pride myself on doing, is supporting the people who become members of Young Living underneath me. And you can email me also at livingalifeoflove, YLEO@gmail.com. So it's just like my website, except it's at gmail.com. And also, I wanted to say that anybody who listens to this podcast and decides to get started, I will send them a essential oils pocket reference book. It's almost 500 pages of information on essential oils, how to use them. If you have an ailment, you can look it up in this book for headaches, hormones, wound care, digestive and respiratory issues. It's all listed in this book, and it'll tell you what oils you need for that, what oils can be used on such ailments. It's valued at $25. You can get it on Amazon at $25, but I'll send it to your listeners for free if they join using my website.
Ah, very, very cool. And that's just, they're automatically going to get that. They're going to go to your website and sign up or something. And what's exactly the process to get the book?
Yeah. So, what they'll do is, they'll go to my website and they'll join, and I'll send them a welcome email and ask them because most of the people that I bring into the company are people that I know personally. So obviously this is a little bit different situation. So I would ask them how they heard about, me, how they signed up, and if they mention that they signed up because they heard about it on Prepper Recon, then I will have their information. I'll be able to send them a book.
Very, very cool. It's a lot of great information you guys have given us today, and it's a great conversation. I've really enjoyed it. Edward, Louise, thank you so much for taking time to be on the show today, and thanks for all you're doing for the preparedness community.
Thank you, Mark. We can't thank you enough for being a leader in this world, spiritually and preparedness mindset. And we wish you all the blessings, my friend.
In the Days of Noah, Book 2, Persecution by best-selling author Mark Goodwin. A globalist conspiracy transpires by way of a false flag attack against America's energy infrastructure. Noah and Cassandra Parker witness a complete economic meltdown, which is intentionally triggered by the event. The assault is blamed on patriots and Christians who are rounded up into detention centers across the country. Noah and his friends must take action to prepare for the meltdown and defend against the totalitarian regime, which is gunning for their freedom and, quite possibly, their very lives. Get your copy of The Days of Noah, Book 2, Persecution for Kindle, paperback or audio edition at Amazon.com today.